Hello, everybody. Welcome into Sports by GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Jeremy Lapidus. Today is Tuesday, November 12th. Hope everybody had an amazing day so far. In today's show, as always, every Tuesday, we do our NFL Power Rankings. That's right, all 32 teams coming up in just 1 second. We'll also go over our winners and losers from a wild Week 10 in the NFL. And, of course, the news of the offensive coordinator that was let go by the Bears earlier today. We will talk about that, what that means for the Chicago Bears, and if it saves their future and their head coach's job. But before we get into all of that, remember, if you would like to be an even bigger part of the show than you already are, all you need to do is go to gsmcpodcast.net. Or if you are on YouTube, you can use that super chat feature. If you do either of those two things, a message should pop up on the bottom of the screen for you, me, and everybody else around the world to see. If you do have a burning question about sports, anything at all that you would like to ask, go ahead and throw that in the comments. Throw it in the chat. I will get to it as soon as I possibly can. I appreciate everybody so much for sticking around, talking some sports with me here on a beautiful Tuesday, November 12th. But like I was saying, we are going to start off our show here with the NFL Power Rankings. Starting off, as always, with Part 1's ranked 32 to 17. Starting off this week with our brand new 32 rank. This is the first time they've been all the way down here at the bottom. It's the New York Giants. And there are a lot of teams that are bad in the NFL. Heading into this week, there were 9 teams that had 2 losses. Now there are 5. So if you are someone that thinks I'm ranking them too low, I understand. But what this comes down to is the level of quarterback play and the amount of inconsistencies that have been brought up with it. The New York Giants consistently have been the worst team in the NFL. Now, there's a lot of good pieces on it. This is not a team that I look at and say is hopeless. Tyrone Tracy's been playing really, really well. A lot of the rookies have stepped up. The defensive line is awesome. But with Daniel Jones back there, and even if they were to switch quarterbacks, even if they were to go to a Tommy DeVito or a Drew Lock, this team isn't going to get much better. They've found themselves at the bottom. A loss to the Panthers seems to get you to the bottom of the league. That's just how it goes sometimes. The Giants are at 32. At 31, we have the Dallas Cowboys. And again, every time I do my power rankings, I go and I cross-reference it with all the big ones. ESPN, NFL, New York Times, whatever. All those places that come out with power rankings. And this was by far the lowest. But I can't look at this team with the way that Cooper Rush played, how they're doing without Dak Prescott. Now, Cooper Rush has played better in the past. There's no doubt about it. I'm not going to sit here and say that he's going to be like this forever. Maybe this is just the way the Cowboys are. Everything that kind of worked for them last year, whether it be Cooper Rush or that defense or CeeDee Lamb, just has not. And now Jerry Jones is crashing out, for lack of a better term, when he's being questioned about anything. It's not a good sign for the future of this franchise, and there's not a lot of positives going on. Everything seems to be crumbling down in the kingdom of Jerry right now, and this is a lost season. I don't think they have the wherewithal to beat just about anybody right now. The Cowboys are number 31. At number 30, hold on. All right, I apologize. I guess the slideshow is not working. Whatever. Number 30, we have the New Orleans Saints. And again, I apologize for the slideshow bugging out there. Number 30 is the New Orleans Saints. The New Orleans Saints get a win, their first win in 8 weeks. The New Orleans Saints are coming off of a 7-game losing streak. They get out there and they have that new head coach magic, that interim head coach magic, and it gets them a win. Again, it's against a division opponent. That was a massive win for them. Marquez Valdes-Scantling comes out, catches 2 touchdowns, adds that deep threat that they haven't had since Rashid Shaheed went down with injury. That's a big part of their offense that was really working for them when they were winning games. Do I think it's going to be consistent enough for them to be this team that, can compete with anybody again? Absolutely not. I still think it's a good sign, and I think they're going to come crashing back down to where they were after this week. At number 29, we have the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders were coming off of a bye, and you can say they won a bye week. They're up 2 spots in this week's list. The Raiders here now are in a very bad spot. They have a quarterback controversy with two or three quarterbacks, depending on the health of their quarterbacks, that you just don't believe in, right? The one bright spot on this team has been Brock Bowers. He has yet to find the end zone. The defense has been incredibly inconsistent, if not bad at all times. And Antonio Pierce is on the hot seat. Technically his first year as a head coach, although he did take over in the interim last year. I don't know if he survives to the end of the season. The situation in Vegas is not very good, and they are our number 29 team. At 28, we have the Patriots. The Panthers. I apologize. I can't read my own writing here. The Panthers are number 28. The Panthers come off their second straight win. This is their first time that they've won 2 straight games since week 14 of 2022. That's almost 2 years ago now. That is insane. How long it has been. It's been since the first 3 weeks of 2021 since they won 3 straight. They're going to look to go for that after their bye week here this week. It is a huge undertaking for this team, and Bryce Young has come out and shown a lot of good. He's still not playing the best football, but he played clean football. Chuba Hubbard continues to prove that he deserves that contract that he got, and this is the Panthers team that's starting to get on a little bit of a roll. They're starting to show that, hey, not this year, obviously, but maybe they got something going with Bryce Young, and maybe he can still keep some going. That's what you need to do when you're a bad team. See if you have something in your young players, and that's what the Panthers are certainly figuring out right now with players like Bryce Young, players like Chuba Hubbard, and a couple of those guys on their defense. At number 27, we have the Chicago Bears. For the second week in a row, the Bears are the largest fallers. They have fallen 7 spots this week after falling 9 spots last week. 16-spot drop in the last 2 weeks, and that situation, that locker room, that team seemingly is broken in every possible way. The coaching staff seems to have completely lost the team. I think it was the right move to fire the offensive coordinator, Shane Waldron. I think they should have fired Matt Eberflus right now. He should get the axe soon. He's definitely got a short leash if things don't turn around. But the way that team is playing, there's no heart, there's no passion. Everything that was going well has seemingly fallen off a cliff since that loss at the Commanders. They're now under 500, and this is not looking good for the case of the Bears and their front office. At 26, the New England Patriots. They get a big win over the Bears here. They are up 3 spots this week, 19-3. Drake May gets his first victory, or I guess second, if you want to count the one against the Jets where Jacoby Brissett came in and finished it. But Drake May comes in, gets a big win on the road against a really talented Bears defense. He held them to 19 points. Generally, that's a recipe for success if you can hold a team to less than 20 points, which the Bears defense is playing really good. But that Patriots holding the Bears to just 3 points against a very talented offense. There's a lot to like with this Patriots team. I love the job that Gerard Mayo has done as far as coaching goes. There's a lot to like for the future of the Patriots. Obviously, not right now. Again, we talk about it like with the Panthers. They're still at the bottom of the league. We still need to understand that when we're talking all these good things, there's not going to be good this season. But there is a lot to like as far as the small amount that we've seen out of the Patriots so far. They have a lot of improvements that we've already seen from last year. At 25, the Tennessee Titans. Will Levis comes back, throws 2 touchdowns to Calvin Ridley, gets a little bit of that offense going again. The defense doesn't play too terribly. They can't come away with a win against a really tough Chargers team. A Chargers team that's been very, very hot all season long. A Chargers team that has a pretty commanding spot on the playoffs right now at 6-3. This is a good Chargers team, and the Titans should have their heads held high. I think that was their best game that they've played all season long by a pretty wide margin, at least with Will Levis in there. So that's good to see. At least he's showing some improvements. At number 24, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars. This is an interesting team to rank, and I didn't want to punish them too much because Mac Jones isn't the starter, right? But there was news that potentially Trevor Lawrence is out for the season. And in that case, the Jaguars need to fall a lot lower on the list. I'm going to wait to hear on that. This is a Jaguars team that, again, is awful. There's not a lot of good coming out of it, but you can see some of the positives. The defense played by far their best game, holding the Vikings to just 12 points. A very high-powered, or has been very high-powered, Vikings offense was held to virtually nothing all game. Only 12 points on the board. That is a win for a Jaguars defense that has been hit like Swiss cheese all season long. And maybe if they can keep that up, they can win a couple games. Mac Jones had a couple of chances to win the game. He screwed them up. 3 turnovers down the stretch is not how you want to end it. But there are still a few positives, especially with that defense, and the Jaguars stay at number 24. 23 goes to the Colts. And you heard my feelings about the Colts yesterday if you were listening. If you're going to keep losing, at least put Anthony Richardson in. Joe Flacco, you're not going to learn anything about. You've now lost 2 straight games with Flacco. You announced he's going to be the starter again. It doesn't make any sense to me at all why he is the starter, why you refuse to go back to Anthony Richardson. That is why this team is punished. This is a team that has some promise. This is a team that if they're able to just get the ball bouncing their way a couple times, the way the defense played, especially against the Bills, forcing a lot of turnovers against a Bills team that had been very, very clean with the football all season long. This is a team that could potentially make some noise in a weak AFC for the wild card race, but as long as they have Joe Flacco in there, I just can't believe in this team. I think he can play better than he has since he took over the starting job. But you can't just discount Anthony Richardson like that. It's a bad look for the team. It's a bad look for the front office, and the Colts are going to continue to struggle with it. They are at number 23. 22 goes to Aaron Rodgers and the Jets, and I don't know what's going on with the Jets. They get a huge win against the Texans, and then they show up against the Cardinals, and they only put 6 points up on the board. That's frankly not okay. Aaron Rodgers, I know he gets hurt in this game, but he needs to play better. The entire Jets defense needs to play better. I don't know what's going on with them, but this is a Jets team that with that loss, I'm ready to say their season is done. And you look at their future, there's not a lot left. There's not a lot to look forward to with this Jets team. They're bad, and they went all in, and that's the worst situation you can find yourself in as a team. Not enviable. The Jets are in a lot of trouble. 21, the Browns. They are coming off of a bye week. I want to see more of Jameis Winston. Obviously, Jameis Winston is going to give you his roller coaster of a football player. You don't know if you're going to get 5 touchdowns or 5 interceptions or maybe even both. Either way, he gives this Brown team a better chance to win, and I think they enjoy playing for him a little more, at least in the 2 games that we have seen. Cedric Tillman coming out has really emerged as a young, talented star, and I think this is a Browns team that I think can make a lot of noise coming up a little bit later in this season. Number 20, we have the Denver Broncos. They lose a heartbreaker to the Chiefs. A chip shot field goal where the protection just gives out and the Chiefs block the field goal that would have sent them to their first loss on the year. Instead, as good as Bo Nix played, as good as his connection is with Courtland Sutton, they can't get the win. Their offense still struggles. That defense continues to play really good ball, and that's why the Broncos are still up here. They still have a shot, but losing in that heartbreaking fashion against the Chiefs in a game where they honestly should have won. But they just kind of got bull rushed by the Chiefs on that final play, and they end up losing in heartbreaking fashion. Can't punish them too much, but they're at number 20. 19 goes to the Miami Dolphins. A huge win for them on Monday Night Football over a Rams team that I was ready to move into the top 10 with a win. This was a Miami Dolphins win that wasn't super flashy. You had a couple of big plays, especially on that first drive. There was a period there where they couldn't stop turning the ball over. Field goals galore from this team. Tyreek Hill got back into the end zone. You're starting to see that offense get its situation right, but that Miami defense was the most impressive thing. This is a Rams team that had started to get a bit of an offensive engine cooking. Instead, the Miami defense came in, shut them down, forced turnovers, didn't let Kyren Williams into the end zone, and made Matthew Stafford make a lot of mistakes. That was a huge win for them, and I won't say it lets them keep pace in the division, but it lets them at least think they have a shot to make the playoffs, which I think is where they need to be. 18 goes to the Seahawks. The Seattle Seahawks, again, coming off of a bye, they made interesting roster moves. They released a linebacker that has started every single one of their games. I'm not sure what's going on. The defense has been an issue. Maybe they think that's going to fix it. Jury's still out on the Seahawks. They're going to be hovering around this middle point because, like I've said, every single time we get to them, they are that litmus test for the NFL. If you lose to them, you're probably a bad you're probably a bad team. If you beat them, you're probably a good team. Now, it's not 100%. Obviously, the Giants got a win over them, and you see where they're ranked right now. But that's just the general feeling I get with the Seahawks. They can beat any bad team and they can lose to any good team. Not necessarily the worst spot to be, but they're still in the race for the division, so they need to pull something together quick if they want to keep on it. And number 17 goes to the Cincinnati Bengals. That was a phenomenal game. Jamar Chase, 264 yards and 3 touchdowns. Joe Burrow, over 400 yards passing. That was a great game played by them offensively, but the same issues rear their head again. They cannot stop anybody defensively. The Ravens were able to get just about anything they wanted in that second half. They end up failing on a 2-point conversion. Controversy or not, they end up losing that game. I think it was the right decision to go for 2. Joe Burrow definitely in the MVP race, although I'm not sure how valid his case is going to be because the team just keeps losing games, but they're not out of it yet. They need to start stringing some victories together. This is a good Bengals team, and they're going to keep climbing. We're going to take a quick break here. When we come back, we're going to finish up our power ranking. 16-1 coming up around the bend. Make sure you stick around for that. We'll be right back here on Sports by GSMC Podcast Network.